Hello. Good afternoon, principals and educators. Hope we had a good break. As many of the previous talks I talked about, and many of them have been covering some of these topics. But let me ask you all a question after your break. Hopefully you all are awake. Are we preparing students in your schools for yesterday's exams, CBSE circulars, or do we feel we are teaching them for tomorrow's world? Just a raise of hands. How many of you all feel you are kind of ready for tomorrow's world? Very good, very good. Okay. So I'm going to ask you a question now. Do you all find anything wrong in any of these, in the first picture, anything wrong? Anything that you're finding wrong that I've done there? Sorry? Sad and happy, yes. Anything else? Different era? Sorry?
No connect between the
Teacher and the student, okay, and there was somebody at the back. Yeah, the blackboard is on the back side. Yes. No eye contact. Now, is it possible for the one on the left to actually have been a picture from a classroom, whether from previous generation or now? Is it possible? Is this a photograph or is this an AI generated picture? AI generated picture, correct. Now, however, suppose one were to argue it's not an AI generated picture, but it's actually a photograph. How would this have been possible in an actual classroom? Think about that. Would it have been possible? Correct.
Students are not interested in learning from the teacher.
Yes.
Teaching is not inspiring them motivating.
Yes, okay. So that's one of the previous points. Now, is it physically would this have been physically possible is my question? No?
maybe there was a whiteboard in front and maybe
On the right track.
not aligned whatever is being taught in the reels.
Okay, yes.
No, the children are looking.
Yes. So I would argue that would it be possible that if there was a mirror at the back of the classroom and then somebody took a picture from the front, maybe the picture of the students is the real one and the teacher is actually the reflection. Would that have been possible? No, why not? Yes, you can't imagine that is true. The question was, so why am I asking you these questions? The question is to encourage students to imagine questions, right? And so, a lot of times in our classrooms, and most schools today, I'm so glad that most of you all are thinking that you all are teaching your kids for the future, right? And some of the previous talks, I think Rohit had mentioned, is there's an exponential change happening right now, right? And a lot of times when I talk to principals from all over the country, a little bit of background on myself, I'm from IIT Bombay, been at Stanford, worked in Silicon Valley for many years, helping running their factories. I came back about 25 years back, I've been worked there about 25 years. And wanted to do something in as a second career, right? And the whole idea was to make a place for kids to like to learn, right? So the idea was how do you, and the fundamental thing about liking to learn is actually curiosity, right? And there are many other people, I think we are all, by the way, singing the same tune, even the name of the conference is the gravity, so we're all singing to the same choir. But sometimes when we hear the same message 2 or 3 times, it actually forces you to potentially change, right? So that's why we're having multiple talks on similar subjects. So what you all realize when I read it in the papers every day, careers are evolving very, very rapidly, right? And AI is now writing code, they're diagnosing diseases, they're designing buildings, they're driving cars. So the careers and professions of the future that your students are going to, go into just 5-10 years, down the line after they graduate from your schools are going to be this, right? So there is a misconception, I feel, a lot of times in the education community, is that the STEM and AI is for the science student, or it's for the geeky guy, only the kids who are very bright or may want to go to IIT or something. And I think I would humbly argue that that is going to change. And the faster you all realize that, you all will be able to make your schools more and more progressive. And I hope there are some, besides the principals, the trustees and all, as well in the audience, because sometimes it also needs to come from the trustees, right? This kind of fundamental change. So classrooms today, we've done studies across the country on different strata, whether it's CBSE schools, ICC schools, state board schools. Largely, I would say 98% of schools are still, the classroom are still knowledge dissemination related. Where we think as teachers and all the staff that report to you, right, they still have that mindset that they have to tell the students what to do. This is what the textbook says. And sometimes even the boards are kind of forcing our hand a little bit. I'm so glad there was a question earlier on how many of you all felt constrained by what the board tells you all to do, and many of you all raised your hands, right? So the rote memorization has to change from rote memorization to curiosity and a problem solving. So this, I think one of the other speakers also talks about, is it's a mindset of the teacher that you have to encourage to change in order to make this happen. So STEM and AI, I think I talked about some of this before. STEM and AI is often misunderstood as no longer, so it's really the new literacy. Just like reading and writing were the literacy of yesteryear when we studied. Today's STEM and AI are the new literacy. So AI, by the way, does not mean that you are trying to make all of your people coders. Even the coding thing on computer science is going to change drastically. In fact, I see a drop. So why is it that people are talking, teach kids AI? Is it a new fad? Right? And I have seen many principals sometimes, they say, no, we want about values and things like that. And absolutely, in the end, students as human beings is values and this thing. But one of the skills that they have to do is just like reading. See, not all of us, when I grew up, the internet wasn't even there, in the late 90s. And all businesses were saying, well, we've been running our business 100 years. We don't need this e-commerce thing. It's going to be for some people. And today you can't imagine most businesses can't be not on the internet. It's very similar like that with AI, right? Where people don't have to write AI code anymore. The new language of AI is going to be actually English or Hindi or your local language, because you're going to be able to interact with technology. But then what is the skill that is needed? It's that critical thinking skill. Why is this working? Is this answer I've seen, is this actually the right answer? Can I make out fake from reality? What can I do to improve? That is going to be the differentiator between one student and the other. That ability to ask questions, right? So it's not the ability to get the answer right that is as important as the ability to ask new questions. That is the fundamental, I would say, change that needs to be understood. So the question really is not whether we should adopt AI and STEM. And I think most of the schools in this audience might already have been doing something. Some of you all may have things like adult tinkering labs that the government has been doing for a few years, things like that. But here it is more fundamentally on how do you create that environment. And some of you all may have something called design thinking labs, right? Which is more about problem solving. It's not only about technology, it's about problem solving. So the structured curriculum, we at Curiosity have developed over the past 10 years. About 5 years even before the NEP came around, right? Because we kind of understood from an industry perspective what needs to happen. And so we've developed a lot of curriculum that's aligned to the NEP mindset. Yes. And it's empowering teachers and giving them agency to drive classroom thinking, right? So it's not that teachers have to do X, Y, Z. It's giving them agency to drive that, right? And then they can solve real world problems and things, right? And then one often thing that happens when you're thinking about labs and things is that you think about, is infrastructure alone actually doesn't solve the problem. It's not about buying some kits and giving 2 days of teacher training and doing it, right? Because what happens is it's the same syllabus for at the same pace for all the students. And that doesn't work because your classrooms actually have many learning speeds. There's the fast learners, the average learners, the explorers, and the quiet studies. You all know this. This is there in every classroom, right? So what we've developed is actually, and we've used AI to make our own platform, okay, to enable you all to teach any subject. So it's not about teaching only STEM or robotics or anything. You want to teach history in a better way, you can use our platform to teach that, right? And so this is just a graph of, you know, maybe some of the normal subjects of maths, physical education, but maybe somebody wants to make a career in physical education, like sports, right? So what is it that you can make, and maybe your PE teacher doesn't have that, he knows how to play football or cricket or something, but may not have that thing of, you know, what else do you need to learn on that from a theoretical perspective. So you can make, using the platform, you can make that kind of multiple choice questions. You can track it both from the student's perspective, so and the parent can see it online, and you as a administrator can see the, you know, from a dashboard perspective, you can see it as well, right? And so, and this is how students can get coached on any subject. This is just an example of a math, 7th grade math problem on area, but he can ask. So it's like having an individual coach as well. Now you can use this in the classroom, and you can use it as a supplemental to what you're teaching in the classroom, right? So you can have tests and practice tests. You do not need to go to any coaching class anymore. I believe that a lot of that coaching industry is going to listen, because now you all are actually getting back that command, because now you have the knowledge, you have the thing. And now with the online platform, you can give them, it's not homework, it's kind of practice, where then it's not about, you know, spitting out things from ChatGPT. Over here, if you ask the thing, it will actually give you negative marks if you're asking things like, oh, what is being asked. So what you're doing is preparing students for careers that don't exist yet. Even today, we don't know all the careers that are going to be there 5 years from now. And so on this, you know, so how your schools are going to, this thing is, it will have higher student engagement, and it's more about relevance, and schools will thrive in the next decade, right? So this is my last slide. The future is not something we wait for, we create it together, right? And we can teach them not to use technology, but to shape the world. So that's the main thing. It's not about us learning technology, but using technology to shape the world. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. And may I request Neeraj sir to kindly join us up on the stage and felicitate Girish sir on our behalf. And sir, I really liked your last line where you said that we should use the technology to shape the world. So these are always the additional tools that we can use.